Okay, I'm ready. We talking now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, my name is Paddy Seaweed. Um, I've been carving jewelry for maybe, I'd say 43 years now. And I was taught by Lloyd Wadhams. Um, I watched him, when he first started doing silver jewelry. Um, he um, he made his own jewelry tools out of you know um, screwdrivers.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. Like he was like filing them around, and he was trying to make the tools out of them. And he just kept the handles on there, but he just filed it enough to so that he could make the tools as long as he wanted them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him carve his first ring on one of those with those tools, and he didn't have a block to work on, so all he did was work it right on. He worked it right on the table where he was at, and because he didn't know that they had the wax and everything. This was we're talking like really a long time ago. I mean long before I even learned. You know, but after a few years of carving wood, he got totally right into doing silver, and he wanted to teach people how to do it. So he taught my brother Alfred and my brother Norman first, and I think I got there about 3 or 4 months after or so. I don't remember, but he asked me if I wanted to learn. I said, yeah, sure. And from there, that's where it started because we were fishermen at that time anyway. Good fishermen. I mean, if we'd have stayed at it, we would have probably made not a lot of money to retire. But it's a good thing we didn't get to stay in that because fishing's so bad nowadays. Uh, Although back then, when I was like 15, 16 years old, $5,000 was a lot of money back then. But becoming an artist, I would have never been able to talk on a video like I'm doing today because it wasn't like my education. I didn't go through school. I went as far as grade 10, so my vocabulary was like terrible. I didn't even know how to say vocabulary. But I had to learn how to I had to learn how to communicate with buyers and mostly women. So it was really it was kind of like intimidating to talk. It was really tough to. Oh yeah, she's going to bring out some stuff. And these are the cross hatching was it's I love I love cross hatching because it I used to be able to go even finer than this before. Um, doing it by hand, we were able to use finer tools. But nowadays, most of the jewelers, they have Graver Max, and Graver Max it's an air compressed tool. So I think you don't get as enough as much how do you say it? You don't have enough. You're either using too much power because you can't carve as fine as you want to. But when we were doing it by hand, it was so easy to have control of your fingers, right? And then when you're cross hatching, like the cross hatching on these bracelets, right? Well, not this one, but this one here. When you were cross hatching on here, it was so fine back then because we could get as close as we could. Back then, they didn't have to use the bifocals or anything. Like the because we use the magnifocuser style because it was, nowadays when you get older, you have to use a lot of strength in these eyes. But learning how to use the Graver Max, that took a little while because nobody ever taught us how to use it. So when we got one, we tried to put it together and try to use the regular tools that we normally use. The hand carving tools, right? It wouldn't work, so we boxed it up and put it away. You still went by hand for a long time, and it stayed in the box for so long until I had a stroke. I had a stroke in I'd say maybe about 16 years ago now. I had a major stroke, and I lost the use of my fingers, my hand, my left hand, my working hand, and couldn't work for almost 3 years. I couldn't work because of the stroke, and I was really depressed. I wasn't sure if I was gonna, ever carve again. I couldn't play my guitar, couldn't do nothing, Could have barely buttoned up my pants, never mind doing anything else. But the stroke, I managed to. I wanted to get back to doing what I loved doing. So I did a lot of physio. I did the the acupuncture. I did it all. I made sure I wanted to try and get, and I did. Eventually, I was doing all these things for months. Because when I first got it, it was like I couldn't even barely do it right like this. But now it's like it's so simple because these fingers are so good now. But artwork really changed our lives. Look at this one here. I made this for my son because you know how it is. You got to make something for your kids. And this one I'm really proud of. My wife Sandra, she always teases me all the time. She says, you always make him the best ones. What about your daughter? I said, oh, come on. He's not my favorite. He said, yeah, you're right. Look at him. Look at what he's got. But I don't know. I don't think there's any favorites in the family. But although I was around when he was born, the other two I wasn't. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to it. But I don't believe it. Because I treat all three of my kids the same. So, but these are like my other son Patrick. I've made him a few. But what he does is he gives me these projects to do for him. He comes in with a big heavy piece of silver. I want you to carve me a sun pendant. It's a really big one, right? It's like heavy. But I like, when Lloyd Wadhams taught us, his work was so phenomenal. Like the 16 gauge, jewelry, the silver nowadays. This is 18 gauge this year, but he used to use 16 gauge, which is a little thicker. But back then, the silver, before it went to the metric system, right? It was a lot thicker. So, 16 gauge was really thick. And he used to carve by hand, and he used to be able to carve right through those 16 gauge. That's how strong he was. Carve right through. And we got a chance to go and tour the museum, the Royal Museum, and they were showing us the collection of jewelry that they had in the cases, right? and they pulled out the cases, and Lloyd Wadham's bracelets were in there. They were really old, right? I mean, so I wanted to look at those, and of course you had to put the gloves on and everything, but the thing is, when you looked at it, it was so amazing to see, because he used to always really like making these big, huge, like 2.5 inch, or about that big anyway, bracelets like this, right? And they were so deeply carved that you probably never ever, they would
Never wear it
ever,
off.
yeah, they'd never ever
Yeah.
fade. Back in, and those bracelets were, made in the, in the early '60s, right? And they would have never faded if you wore them all the time. Like nowadays, I mean, these ones won't fade. These ones won't fade, because look, they're nice and deeply carved. And if they, I bet the only thing that probably is, they'll probably break. That's it. Because people, oh, I love it. It's a Paddy Seaweed. I gotta wear it. I've had so many people come back to my, like I've walked down the road, in Victoria there, and a lady walks over to me. You're Paddy Seaweed. I said, yeah, Paddy Seaweed. And she's like this. Do you recognize this?
Were you looking for pendants or were you looking for?
I said, yeah. Do you remember when you did it? I said, no. I said, I probably did, hundreds of them. And she said, it's one of these ones that you actually put the date on, she said. I said, no way, did I? I said, yeah. She pulls it off. She said, 1979. Oh my God.
Nice.
So I worked for Expo '86. I did that. That was a huge time of my life, man. I got to work at the Canada place for 10 days. I worked there, and the people were there that were working for the Expo. Everything you make, we'll buy it. Oh my God! Like of course,
wow.
we were living, I lived there for the 10 days. I also had some place to work there. So, I mean, I didn't just, my block and everything was all set up and everything right there to work. But you really couldn't work because, oh my God, is that how it's done? Then you got to talk for another half an hour. You never finish anything. So I used to take my block home to where I was living at the time and work till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God. The next day I'd be bringing my jewelry there. You did all that last night? I did that every day. Oh my God, as soon as I got home, man, I was so tired. 10 days of carving all day. I mean, every night. But I was young, man, so. It was so easy. Nowadays, you can't get past 5 o'clock in the evening. Oh, I think I'll go home. But it's great now because you know what? All my kids are working. I don't have to work as hard as I used to. But it's the grandkids now, though. Yeah. But it's been fun. My life has changed over the years since I started carving. I love it, and I still do. In fact, I'll probably carve my last piece when I'm almost ready to hit the dirt, whenever that is. That's always not too soon. I always tease my brother Cal. Me and my brother Cal we hung around for so long as brothers, right? Every time we were riding around, going on a selling trip, right? He said, I swear, man, we're gonna be the ones that they're gonna find on the side of the road. We're always on the road. He's always like, we're not gonna die like this. So, is there anything you want to ask me? Not really?
No.
That was good?
Yeah.